In 1933, a 23-year-old journalist in Frankfurt made a decision that would define his entire life. He had just published a book about a 19th century philosopher, an obscure topic, academic, boring even. But there was one detail that mattered. The philosopher was Jewish. Peter Drucker had done it on purpose. He later said, "I had deliberately chosen to write a book that would make it impossible for the Nazis to have anything to do with me." Weeks after publication, the Nazis banned it. Then they burned it. The SS came looking for the author. Drucker didn't negotiate, didn't wait, didn't explain. He packed what he could carry and left Germany in 48 hours. No money, no job waiting, no plan. Just a 23-year-old with a doctorate he earned without attending a single class, studying law at night in 3 languages because the university didn't offer evening courses. He ended up in London, then New York, then became the most influential management thinker of the 20th century. 39 books, predicted the rise of Japan, invented the term knowledge worker in 1959, advised General Motors, General Electric, and the US government. BusinessWeek called him the man who invented management. But what most people don't know is what he actually taught, because Peter Drucker didn't teach you how to be successful. He taught you how to stop wasting your life. Here's what's interesting about Drucker. He wasn't a businessman, never ran a company, never managed a factory. He was an Austrian refugee who escaped the Nazis, witnessed the collapse of 3 empires, and spent the rest of his life asking one question: how do we build organizations that don't destroy people? Because he had seen what happens when they do. He watched Hitler rise, watched communism spread, watched institutions crumble across Europe. And he came to a brutal conclusion. Performing responsible management is the alternative to tyranny and our only protection against it. That's what drove him, not profit margins, not efficiency metrics, the fear that if we don't learn how to organize people properly, we get fascism. So while other management thinkers were obsessing over assembly lines and org charts, Drucker was asking, what does it mean to be effective? What are you actually supposed to do with your time? And why do so many intelligent people accomplish nothing? Today I'm going to give you 5 lessons from the man who invented management. But fair warning, Drucker doesn't care about your feelings. He cares about your results.
Lesson 1. Charisma is a trap. Here's a quote that will destroy every leadership book you've ever read. The 3 most charismatic leaders in this century inflicted more suffering on the human race than almost any trio in history: Hitler, Stalin, and Mao. What matters is not the leader's charisma. What matters is the leader's mission. That's Drucker. Think about what he's saying. Every self-help guru tells you to be magnetic, develop presence, command the room. Drucker says the most magnetic people of the 20th century murdered 100 million people. Charisma isn't leadership, it's a tool. And like any tool, it depends on who's holding it. Drucker had seen charisma up close. He was in Frankfurt when Hitler was rising. He attended rallies. He watched crowds lose their minds for a man with presence. And he realized something that most people still haven't figured out. The ability to captivate a room tells you nothing about whether the person should be followed. So what matters instead? Mission, direction, results. Drucker put it simply, effective leadership is not about making speeches or being liked. Leadership is defined by results, not attributes. You want to lead? Stop worrying about whether people like you. Start asking whether you're taking them somewhere worth going.
Lesson 2. You're paid to be uncomfortable. Here's one of my favorite Drucker quotes. As a manager, you're paid to be uncomfortable. If you're comfortable, it's a sure sign you're doing things wrong. Read that again. Most people spend their careers trying to get comfortable. Better title, nicer office, less stress, fewer hard conversations. Drucker says that's exactly backwards. Comfort is the warning sign. Comfort means you've stopped growing, stopped challenging, stopped leading. You know what's comfortable? Doing what you did last year, having meetings about meetings, avoiding the conversation you know you need to have, letting underperformers slide because firing is awkward. That's comfort, and it's killing your organization. Drucker watched the most successful executives in America: General Motors, General Electric, government agencies, nonprofits. He noticed something. The effective ones were never comfortable. They were always slightly anxious, always questioning, always asking, what are we missing? What's changing? What did I get wrong? The ineffective ones, they had everything figured out. They were relaxed, in control, until they weren't. Here's the hard truth. If your job feels easy, you're either coasting or you're not seeing the problems that are about to destroy you. Discomfort is the job.
Lesson 3. Risk doesn't change anything.
People love talking about risk, taking risks, playing it safe, bold moves versus cautious strategies. Drucker had a quote that demolishes the entire conversation. People who do not take risks generally make about 2 big mistakes a year. People who do take risks generally make about 2 big mistakes a year. Same number, same result. The risk takers and the risk avoiders end up in the same place, making mistakes. So what's the difference? The risk takers make different mistakes. They learn different lessons. They end up in different positions. But they don't make fewer errors. They just make more interesting ones. This is Drucker cutting through the mythology. We love stories about bold entrepreneurs who bet everything and won, but we don't talk about the bold entrepreneurs who bet everything and lost, or the cautious ones who succeeded. The variable isn't courage, it's not risk tolerance. The variable is judgment, direction, knowing which problems are worth solving. Drucker was obsessed with this, the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things. You can be incredibly efficient at the wrong thing. You can take bold risks on stupid ideas. What matters isn't how brave you are, it's whether you're pointing in the right direction. Lesson 4. Stop doing things well. This one sounds insane until you understand it. There is nothing quite so useless as doing with great efficiency something that should not be done at all. Drucker is saying that competence can be a trap. You get really good at something, you optimize it, you make it faster, cheaper, smoother, and no one stops to ask, should we be doing this at all? Companies do this constantly. They perfect processes that shouldn't exist. They have entire departments dedicated to activities that add 0 value. But the activities are done efficiently, with KPIs and quarterly reviews. Drucker watched this at General Motors. He spent 18 months studying the company, wrote a book called Concept of the Corporation that revolutionized how people think about business. In General Motors, the subject of the book ignored it completely. The CEO, Alfred Sloan, was so irritated that he wrote his own book just to contradict Drucker. And in that book, he didn't mention Drucker once. Why? Because Drucker told them things they didn't want to hear. He said they were efficiently doing the wrong things. They preferred to keep optimizing their mistakes. 50 years later, GM went bankrupt. This is the hardest question to ask yourself. What am I doing really well that I shouldn't be doing at all? Lesson 5. First things first, second things never. You've probably heard this phrase, first things first. Stephen Covey made it famous, wrote a whole book about it. But Covey didn't invent it. Peter Drucker did. In Drucker's version was more brutal. Do first things first and second things not at all. Not second things later, not second things when you have time, not at all. Drucker was ruthless about priorities. He believes most people fail not because they don't work hard enough, but because they work on the wrong things. They spread themselves across 10 priorities and accomplish nothing on any of them. The effective executive picks one thing, maybe 2, and ignores everything else. This sounds extreme because it is. Drucker was watching the best executives in the world, and he noticed they all did this. They didn't try to do everything. They actively refused to do most things. Here's how he put it. If you want something new, you have to stop doing something old. That's it. You don't have unlimited capacity. Every yes is a no to something else. So what are your first things? And what are you pretending is important that you should drop entirely? Most people can't answer this. That's why most people aren't effective. Before we wrap up, let me tell you some things about Drucker you probably don't know. First, he got his doctorate without attending a single class. When he was in Hamburg, the law school didn't offer evening courses, so he worked during the day, then went to the library at night and taught himself in German, French, and English. He passed all the exams, got the degree, never sat in a lecture. Second, he was fired for refusing to sign a political document. In 1941, he was teaching at Sarah Lawrence College in New York. The faculty drafted a manifesto attacking a college president who had supported Britain against Nazi Germany. Drucker refused to sign it. He said it was dishonest and politically motivated. They fired him. A refugee from the Nazis, fired for refusing to participate in academic politics in America. The irony wasn't lost on him. Third, he hated being called a guru. When people called him a management guru, he had a response ready. I have been saying for many years that we're using the word guru only because charlatan is too long to fit into a headline. Fourth, he became an anime in Japan. Drucker was so popular in Japan that someone wrote a novel called What If the Female Manager of a High School Baseball Team Read Drucker's Management? It became a bestseller. Then they made it into an anime, then a live-action film. A 20th century Austrian economist became a Japanese cartoon character. That's reach. Fifth, he admitted he made things up. The Wall Street Journal once fact-checked his lectures and found errors. He had claimed, for example, that English was the official language at a Japanese trading company. It wasn't. His response? I use anecdotes to make a point, not to write history. That's the most Drucker thing I've ever heard. Peter Drucker died in 2005. He was 95 years old. He had written 39 books, taught for over 60 years, consulted for the largest companies on Earth, predicted the knowledge economy, the rise of Asia, the decline of manufacturing, and the importance of non-profit organizations. George Orwell credited him as one of the only writers to predict the Nazi-Soviet Pact of 1939. But here's what I think his real legacy is. Drucker lived through the collapse of the Habsburg Empire, 2 world wars, the Great Depression, the Cold War, and the rise of the internet. He watched every major political and economic system of the 20th century either fail or transform beyond recognition. And his conclusion wasn't cynical, it was practical. He believed the answer was management. Not management is bureaucracy. Management is a discipline of getting the right things done. Management is a moral responsibility. Management is the difference between organizations that serve people and organizations that crush them. That's why he spent 70 years teaching the same basic ideas. Know your strengths, choose your priorities, focus on contribution, measure results, not activity, and for God's sake, stop doing things efficiently that shouldn't be done at all. If you want to go deeper, read The Effective Executive. It's 200 pages. It was written in 1967, and it's still the best book on personal productivity ever published. Drucker wrote it in a time before smartphones and Slack and constant distraction, and somehow anticipated all of it. The book won't make you feel good. It'll make you realize how much time you've been wasting. And maybe that's exactly what you need.